The most important thing is that we are on the right path, and we will not deviate from it, even in the face of strong temptation to choose temporary gains over long-term benefits. The most successful of the nations of the world are those who do not fall into the lure of secession, but who, through thick and thin, forge unity in diversity. Our vision is for a country that grows what it eats and produces what it consumes. It is for a country that no longer has to import petroleum products and develop a lucrative petrochemical industry. Railway network will support efforts to diversify the economy and enhance our export potentials. You don't have to cheat or steal to be successful in life, but you must be ready to convert your challenges to opportunity. Great economies and great nations, prosperity and abundance of nations and communities are created by men and not spirits. Any nation that does not emphasize integrity will always fail. I am so pleased and happy, and I believe that the Almighty God has a plan for our nation by putting us in strategic positions in politics, business, and everywhere. Our diversity as a people united is also our potential to transform our large deposits of mineral resources and use same for national development. The fundamental for the sustainable growth of Nigeria is not in the hydrocarbon industry, but in agriculture. The values of integrity and hard work are necessary for the development of our nation. It doesn't matter where one starts from. It doesn't matter at all where you start from. It is how committed you are, how determined you are, and how hardworking you are that will ultimately make the difference. Nigeria's unity is one for which enough blood has been spilled and many hundreds of thousands of lives have been lost. Many have paid for the unity of this country with their lives, and it will be wrong of us, as men and women of goodwill in this generation, to toy with those sacrifices that have been made. Many of the ethnic and other parochial tensions that have tended to create insecurity and outright conflict, time and time again, are largely as a result of failure to deliberately undertake nation-building efforts. I understand the law of sowing and reaping. It is a spiritual law that has tremendous physical implications. Every time that we delay or frustrate what we can do today, leaving it till tomorrow, we hold back the future. We, too, must reap what we have sown by experiencing delays. Our country has the potential not just to be the giant of Africa, but a major economic giant in the world. We are committed to a continuous engagement with our people to explain government policies, receive advice and criticism. Africa Rising is as much about improving standards of governance as it is about an increasingly confident youths and civil society. It is also about businessmen and women who are stepping beyond national borders and going global. Nigeria is still grappling with the negative consequences of the use of opacity by senior members of government and their cronies between 1993 and 1998, awarding themselves juicy contracts in the extractive industry. Corruption and illicit financial flows are different, but they really must be twinned. This is because, for practical purposes, it is an eminently more sensible approach to treat most of the sources of illicit financial flows as corrupt activity, within a broader use of the term. The carnal nature of man is that he places his tribe above others, But the only basis for the power and unity of the Church is that there is no Jew or Gentile. It is not possible for one tribe to dominate another based on the way God has structured the country. We all know that Nigerian jollof rice is the best anywhere. We beat the Ghanaians and Senegalese hands down. We in Nigeria have seen just how difficult it is to get back stolen assets from the international financial system, such as banks that ought not have received those funds in the first place if even the most routine questions were asked. No economy can tolerate the level of corruption seen in Nigeria without consequences. An active and vibrant railway system confers many benefits on the society. We don't have all the time in the world with oil. We have to use oil while it makes sense to do so. It is in the interest of the government and also the interest of the nation that things are done properly and that there is due process and that we are not unfair. If this government is doing the right thing by fighting corruption, the Church should support it. There must be more rigorous enforcement of rules promoting transparency in the international banking and financial systems, especially more stringent KYC rules on customer identity, source of wealth, and even country of origin. If the Church says we will not accept you here or that we will expose you if you are stealing the resources of the country or stealing the resources of a private company or other establishment where you work, then we would not have the type of problem that we have in this country. If only the Church does so, just the Church. The reason we have Christian president and Muslim vice president or Muslim president and Christian vice president is to have balance. Economic growth is not sustainable without nation building and, even of greater importance, state building. The Nigerian economy is a huge one. Corruption has been tolerated for too long now, and with Buhari, we will, for the first time ever, have a president who will fight corruption. He will act so that people will be deterred from corruption. With 10% of Nigeria's total land mass, 80% of which is arable, Niger State symbolizes the hope and greatness of Nigeria and has potential to feed the continent. Tracing, freezing, and return of stolen assets has proved in many cases to be exceptionally difficult for most African countries. There is no wisdom of man that can change men or change nations. It is the power and wisdom of God that can. The most important thing for Africa is that whoever wants to invest in our country should start in manufacturing. Here in Nigeria, what makes the news is conflict between the executive and the legislature. If there is one person in Nigeria that believes that petroleum prices should not go up by 1 naira, it is President Buhari. In stabilizing the macroeconomic environment, we have focused on aligning fiscal with monetary policy and nudging the central bank toward the objective of more market-determined exchange rates. If you were not around when Africa truly gets going, it would be much like the skeptics who stood on the sidelines in the 1990s, convinced that China was going nowhere. How wrong they were. Hate speech is a species of terrorism. Many would say the reason why they steal is because they want to have an arsenal for future political exploits. It is a lie. It is greed. In any case, even if you want to do that, You have no right to do it. As you fight corruption, it fights back. I want to say that this business of corruption and the fight against corruption is a very serious matter, and sometimes I'm amazed that very little is being said outside of those who are saying so in government. It's an existential matter. I don't know whether it is possible to overemphasize the point, but I think it's a very crucial matter. If people are stealing the resources of this nation, if people are taking bribes, if judges or persons in authority, whether they are judges or whoever they may be in government, ministers, whoever, if they are taking bribes, it attacks the fundament of our existence as a society. If the church says you are not allowed to steal, and we will ostracize you in our midst if you did, if what a man has does not measure up to what he has, if we found that a man has more money than he should have, if a man is earning a salary of a civil servant or a public servant and he has houses everywhere, we have to hold him to account. The truth is that many, if not most, nations of the world are made up of different peoples and cultures and beliefs and religions who find themselves thrown together by circumstance. No matter how much you pray or fast, our country cannot grow without some of us deciding to do the hard work that makes nations work. It is the resolve of the government that none will be allowed to get away with making speeches that can cause sedition or that can cause violence, especially because when we make these kinds of pronouncements and do things that can cause violence or destruction of lives and property, we are no longer in control. The quality and quantum of potential investors in Africa is huge. We in Africa must prepare our economies in that direction that attracts such huge and qualitative investments. It is for us to push, and we must push. You are not born corrupt. We want to change that mindset of the people. As we move to diversify our economy, we are particularly aware that we need oil to get out of oil. It will be wrong of us to approach our grievances by threatening to disobey the laws or by threatening the integrity of our nation. Africa cannot afford to underestimate the power of technology to fast-track the continent's rise. Emerging technologies have played extraordinary roles in every aspect of the continent's most touted successes.